So welcome back, guys, to the LCS Summer Split Promotion Tournament. We've just seen Sinners Never Sleep winning game number 1 versus Against All Authority. Now, a fantastic performance from Sinners Never Sleep. We can't deny them anything from that one. I mean, we saw We Will Failure landing hook after hook in that bottom lane. We saw Kassadin, brilliant play, combining that in with, you know, the Malphite, Zoro0 again. The 2 kills that Kassadin got early on was simply because Zoro0 walked. This is a teleport Malphite, walked from the top lane to the mid lane and managed to pick up those kills onto Orion. And like everything came together for Sinners Never Sleep in that game.
We did highlight Zoro0, like we did give him the MVP in their best of 3 versus TCM, and there was good reason. Like you saw right there, it wasn't even necessarily like him. Well, no. It wasn't even Friday122 making a mistake necessarily. It was him taking advantage of the situation, like realizing there's nowhere top. I can just run down there, get the kill, and get Kassadin fed. And once you get Nuke Duck fed on a Kassadin, and your bot lane's doing okay, Tabs was 2-0, you know you're going to win the game.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see now. I mean, we saw the pictures there after the game of, you know, Nono talking to his team and, you know, obvious frustration that he had there. How their whole mental, their mindset right now is going to be coming into game number 2. I mean, I think they honestly, they lost a lot in the Champion Select already. I mean, Thresh came through. Thresh was big. Malphite, we saw Zoro0 on Malphite yesterday. He was amazing. Why wouldn't he be amazing again today? And, you know, he was. Kassadin, for me, against a team that can play Kassadin, is almost a safe ban, especially when they're red side and they can always go for that last.
And we even mentioned earlier, talking about it showed some sort of weakness, is that you notice Shlea, like, you notice they banned Twisted Fate, which is a big thing. Like, you need that threat, like that always, oh, we got to take him away because he's, you know, a really strong champion. You don't want to deal with him, even if you can't play him. But they showed their hand. They showed their cards that they cannot play Twisted Fate, and they had to, and they pretty much just gave Sinners Never Sleep the opportunity to either take it or not even worry about banning it at this point. Then again, there's the mind game that they banned it to make them think that, and my head would always hurt if thinking about that.
Get the headset on, guys.
So, there is Sinners Never Sleep. Let's see, managed to catch up with them outside here, just in a little bit of a break that we had there. And, you know, as you can see there with Zoro0, they are in a very good place mentally right now. You know, a win in the first game where, against Authority, we talked about Nono leaving the game. I think that opens a few windows for SNS to, you know, to jump through almost, because they know that if they can frustrate him now, that they can put Against Authority down almost. You know, they can force the hand on this one. Against Authority, they seem to have, you know, calmed down a little bit now. There's not so much talk going on, but, you know, there's no shouting going on, which is always a good thing anyway.
Like, you look at SNS and they're all smiling, they're all happy, but, you know, to me, I would be excited, I'd be happy, but I would not be showing it like that. Like, you cannot go into this match underestimating Against Authority at all. I mean, yeah, they had a bad game, but you saw them in the season. You saw how strong of a team they are, and if you for 1 second think that you got this and that you're going to destroy them, you're going to lose right there.
Yeah, that is a big problem that Sinners Never Sleep, you know. And these players aren't the most experienced players when it comes to tournament play. There's no doubt about that one. And that's something that they do have a manager here with them. I hope that their managers talk to them about this, that do not get overconfident, do not get overcomplacent, because this team can beat you. Against All Authority have shown already here in the LCS that they can beat the biggest of teams, but you can see there the mood right now is not good, and things are going to have to change coming into game number 2. It's a best of 5, so there's still, you know, a long way to go for both of these teams, whether that's for the victory or, you know, in the end for the loss.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, Against Authority, they've been in this position before, not necessarily, you know, just like this, but they've been in that losing position. They've been in the underdogs before. They've been, you know, the team that everyone can think they can beat, and they can overcome that. They've done it before, and they need to do it now. I mean, they have to realize, and even saw in Nono just like how frustrated he was, that this is the career they're fighting for. Like, it was frustration. It wasn't like, you know, I mean, he was upset, obviously, but it wasn't like out of that. It was just him realizing that their LCS career can be gone right now if they don't do something about it.
Yeah, it's fine. So now.
So don't forget, guys, you can still vote over on lolesports.com for the team that you think is gonna win this one, this best of 5, and secure their spot along with Alternate that we saw earlier on yesterday for the LCS Summer Split. Right now, 72% of you still siding with Against All Authority. And I think you made a very good point there, Jason, about Nono, that it's not just, you know, pure anger at this point, it's frustration. And You know, rightly so. He's a very, very passionate player, and as you said, they're fighting for their career right now.
I mean, they have a gaming house here. They've so much invested in this. They spent, well, I would say 10 weeks, but to be honest, it was so many months before that in terms of just getting prepared for LCS. So much time invested in this, and just to see it kind of slip away and it being out of your hands, or you're not taking advantage of the situation, it's got to be hard for any player, to be honest.
Yeah, we just had a little bit more time here in the break because we will fail having a couple of problems with stomach problems right now. So he was off making sure that that's all fixed. He never wanted to run to the toilet midway through the game, that's for sure. So it looks like we are going to be getting in here to Sinners Never Sleep versus Against Authority. Game 2, the picks and bans. Let's have a look at the bans then. Sinners Never Sleep, Renekton and Ezreal. Bans that we saw already in the first game. For Against Authority, Ari, Zed. The final ban for Sinners Never Sleep was Zac. So they've gone exactly identical on picks. And there is the Kassadin ban out now for Against Authority. Are we going to see Twisted Fate straight in there?
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, we've already mentioned before that Nukeduck, I mean, he's played Ahri, he's played Kassadin, like he's really mobile champions. Twisted Fate isn't as mobile in terms of in lane, but he can be around the map extremely quickly. And we'll see if they do want to go there. I mean, they're really hesitant. If most teams saw the situation, they'd be like, oh, Twisted Fate's open, let's take him. But I think something's up.
Well, it is going to be Twisted Fate locked in there. And we talked about, pressure in that bottom lane, trying to bring that whole frustration factor back into game number 2 here. And Twisted Fate is one of those champions that can certainly do that very quickly once he hits level 6. Kha'Zix, though, of course, was left open. Nasus as well was there. We're sure going to be taking Nasus, and we will have Kha'Zix in there for, I'm guessing, Slayer.
But Malphite was left open. You're seeing Sinners of Sleep hover over that. The Kha'Zix, like, it's such a good champion. I mean, we saw yesterday with Giants Extra play him. We've never seen him play Kha'Zix before. We've seen Against Authority play him, but just how strong he can be. Like, the resets is just insane. Like, Against Authority, they can snowball this game pretty easily if they can get Kha'Zix fed. And, them taking it, they have the option to take it last game. They didn't. It shows that they maybe are coming to this next game, forgetting about the first one and really fighting for their careers right now.
So Lulu currently being hovered over by Against Authority. That Caitlyn was picked up in the last round of picks. Of course, Tabs has shown that Caitlyn is his #1 go-to.
Yeah, it is. And he's did a phenomenal job. I mean, you saw he had a 20+ CS lead in the beginning of the game, got a double kill with the help from We Will Fail Her. And if you can snowball a champion like that, like Caitlyn that early on, I mean, we mentioned her like kind of dipping in terms of the mid-game in terms in power, but the more kills, the more CS you get early on, the quicker that time of being weak just disappears. I'll try to think of a better term for it, but that's all I can come up with.
Diana will be locked in here for Against Authority, so it looks like Freddy actually will play that Kha'Zix in the top lane. Although, we say that, and we have seen Freddy and Slayer swapping roles before.
Yeah, they do have, I mean, that's a strong lineup. You have so much damage out of those 2 assassins that they can burst someone down. So Caitlyn, they had the problem of being able to get to Caitlyn in the last game with their lineup, but this time they bypass that completely. You have Kha'Zix and Dinah just to jump on top of him. If they can kill him, or even Twisted Fate, who's extremely squishy, like they're going to snowball that fight. And unless you see Sinners Never Sleep pick up like a damage type jungler, because at this point, they don't have much damage behind him. Like you do have the Initiate, it's very nice out of Malphite, but a Caitlyn, Twisted Fate won't do too much unless you have another damage source.
Well, Heimerdinger is not going to be the choice for Sinners Never Sleep. However, Nautilus will be. Now, we saw yesterday a lot of fantastic Nautilus play coming out from quite a few teams, actually.
That ultimate is... It's really devastating. I mean, early on, like the dredge lines, if you can land them, is really strong. You have a lot of forms of CC, and if you can land that ultimate and pair it with the Malphite ultimate, I mean, you have double knockup, ideally, and you can just shut a team down. Like, they're not going to be able to attack you for a long time. They have good protection with those 2 champions against the Assassin comp that Against Authority has, trying to going into the backline against Tabs.
So let's see which AD carry is going to be locked in here. It's going to be Tristana. So Trist and Lulu, the bottom lane here for Against Authority. Again, we wait to see exactly who's going to go with what. To me, though, with those summoner spells and the way it is right now, it looks like Nono will be AD carry again.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the passion in his eyes to keep it to win this game, and if he had the opportunity to play AD carry support, I'm assuming he definitely want to be AD carry because he knows that he can be the one to really carry the game if he needs to. But their entire lineup, like both teams have a really strong lineup. You have for Against Authority, you have either Diana or Kha'Zix jumping in, then the Lulu knockup. So you're gonna have that time of control, then the Poland out of Diana. Like you have a great opportunity to set up a nice fight. And then of course, like I said before, with Sinners Never Sleep. How are you going to kill Twisted Fate or Caitlyn if you have the ultimate out of Malphite and the ultimate out of Nautilus to stop you?
And also, that whole range problem of Caitlyn that A lot of AD carries do have a problem against Caitlyn because of that range. Tristana, okay, not at the beginning, is going to have a massive range, but as things go on, is going to be able to outrange her even.
It's going to be hard for Tristana or for Nuna to really farm early on in terms of this lane matchup, especially with Thresh, who can grab you and then you're kind of in trouble. I mean, obviously you have a way to escape with the rocket jump, but the later the game goes, the stronger he's going to be, the stronger Kazak's going to be, the stronger Diana's going to be. And to be honest, I think they have the stronger late game team comp.
Well, we're going to see here if Against Authority can pick themselves up. Jobs are on the line. And the scoreline is 1-0 in favor of the challenger team, Sinners Never Sleep. And they've obviously been preparing a lot for this game against Authority. We saw them in that game number 1. Honestly, before we talk about any problems that Against Authority might have had, Sinners Never Sleep really set things up brilliantly.
Yeah, they look to me a lot like Giants when we saw them in the qualifiers for spring, is that they like to run a certain composition. You know, the 80 cannon that we saw out of Jim Bones, the CC comp that they ran with. You have, you know, Zoro running Malphite for the second game running. If you keep getting that champion, he's going to punish you. He did it in the first game. He's probably, or I'm assuming he's going to be able to do it here. That's almost ban-worthy to me at this point.
Well, that's the problem that they have, right? If Sinners Never Sleep do well in this game with Malphite and Twisted Fate, where do they put those bans? Because you know that they can play Kassadin now. We know that they can play that Malphite. The Twisted Fate would have to be a ban, and then you leave, you know, the rest of those picks wide open. But we are going to get into it then. Sinners Never Sleep moving over onto the blue side. They have that 1-0 lead in our best of 5 game. Against Authority, backs to the walls here. If Sinners Never Sleep win this one, of course, they'll be in a game point situation, having to win only 1 of the remaining 3 games.
And we are seeing Nuke start with a red pod, so he wants to just survive this early laning phase against this Kazakhs, which you have to be able to do. I mean, if Schley hits level 2 before you, he could jump right on you and punish you so many times. We even saw that with Frelnord versus Giants.
Well, I think it's going to be Kazakh's bottom lane, actually, here in the solo lane, and Diana mid, by the looks of things. And that's what we were talking about earlier, the fact that Schleyer and Freddy have and can switch roles and lanes.
That's always been something to me that made them like extraordinary as a team, is that they have the ability to do that, and it's really hard to prepare for them in that sense if they know that they can run different champions in different lanes. Like Freddy 122, he can run AP champions. I've just seen him on Diana. He's run Kennen. He can run tanks. He can run Renekton. He can run like such a wide array of champions that you can never really ban him out, and you can never really predict where he's going 100%.
There is Nautilus having a swim in the river because he's strange like that. So, what is the start going to be here for Sinners Never Sleep? Looks like Zoro Zero is going to be helping Nunia out on the Wolves, and then in towards that blue buff. Twisted Fate is there as well. So by the looks of things, we will have Lulu Tristana in the top lane versus Zoro Zero on Malphite, and at the bottom we're going to have Caitlyn and Thresh against Kazakh.
You know, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself that Kazakh should automatically be able to sustain better in a 1v2 situation. He should be able to do better off, but the one thing that runs to my head is that he's against a Caitlyn Thresh. So you're going to be poked under your own turret, so you're not going to be able to farm. You're going to be potentially caught with a hook out of We Will Fail, which can, you know, completely mess you up. He's going to have such a difficult time, and at the top end, like, he's Malphite. He's extremely tanky. He has health pots. He has a Crystalline Flask. He's against a Tristana who doesn't have the greatest amount of range, and a Lulu. So he should be able to farm out of the turret when Shalea doesn't really have that opportunity to.
And here is Nuke in the middle lane, already starting to put down a bit of pressure. Actually, it's Freddy that gets that advantage. We already see Zoro Zero taking some poke from that Lulu Tristana lane, and really interested to see how these two solo laners actually end up coming out of this.
Yeah, because you have an assassin over for Shalea. Like, they need him to get strong, they need him to get CS, they need him to get the items he's going to need to really kill Sinners Never Sleep. But then you have a tank for Zoro Zero, so you don't really need as much farm on your tank when you're just an initiate for your team. So they benefit in that way in the long run, but against Authority, like, they need to get their assassins fed, and doing this isn't necessarily the way to make it happen. Then again, you know, a Malphite versus Kazakh's lane isn't really going to be too easy for either of them.
Look at this, Sinners Never Sleep already putting down a ton of damage onto that outer turret in the bottom lane, and they're going to force that one up as well. And, you know, those traps, that's something that Schleyer needs to be real careful of. One false move and you're on a trap, you're going to get hooked and you're going to get pulled in, and it can go sour really quickly. Yeah, very quickly. But we do have, looks like Virtual going to be heading down towards the bottom lane, as you see on your mini-map. And we have Nuni in the top lane just trying to help, you know, keep this the turrets from going down, make sure that each of them can get some farm, get some levels here, because that's like the real critical part. It's I mean, obviously you want to get as much CS as possible, but you also want to get the levels, because then that will give you an advantage in the long run. Saw Virtual, as you said, coming down to bottom lane. He's left, coming back again right now. So against Authority, know that they have to put up some protection against this lane because they will push it very quickly with that Caitlyn in there. As the hook lands on towards Virtual here, is he going to be able to get away? He uses Ghost there to escape, and honestly, worth it in the end to use a Ghost because double buffs on the AD carry at this time in the game would have been disastrous.
And that was extremely scary, as you saw. I mean, there's a trap down in front of him. You saw WeWillFailure pull him into the trap, and he got locked down. Like that, if you're slaying that bottom lane, like that's got to keep you so scared, and that's where you're seeing him right now. He's sitting behind the turret because he knows if he gets close to attack those minions, then he's going to be harassed down. Like, he cannot even kill these caster minions unless he hits them with those void spikes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. His protection is now gone completely. There come the void spikes. He gets hit on the trap, and he can only afford to go onto the traps to get rid of them when those minions are in there so that the hook from Thresh can't squeeze through and pull him out.
Yeah, very true. And you know, we're coming up to the point where we're going to have... Ooh, we see another hook land.
Yeah, but Tabs is farming away there. They weren't quite prepared for that one. And that sometimes is going to happen as a Thresh. You know, as Freddy actually going to get a lot of damage put onto him. You know, Nuke doing a fantastic job of harassment.
And speaking of farming away, just look at the CS that currently Sinners Never Sleep has. You have Tabs, who's, you know, 8 CS ahead. You have in the middle lane a 15 CS lead for Nuke, which, you know, honestly, you would assume it. You know, it's a melee AP champion he's up against, so you would assume he'd have a nice advantage here. But he's going to be level 6 really soon, so the bottom lane, like, he can interact with. The top lane, he can interact with really well. It's going to come down to how well against Authority cannot feed Nuke. Like, they cannot let him to get a position to get any sort of kills, or he's going to snowball on them.
Yeah, and he's up at level 5 already. I'm assuming that he's not going to be too far away from hitting that magic number 6 with Twisted Fate, which means that, you know, pushed up lanes are immediately in danger there.
It looks like he's going back just to buy before he does go for an ult gank relatively soon. I mean, he's not 6 yet, but when he gets back to lane, he should be. And it's just up to him where he wants to go. I mean, Freddy wants to do, he picked a good champion in terms of he can punish Nuke whenever he leaves the lane like that to just push the lane up against him and really apply pressure. So they have that benefit. But it doesn't matter in the end if Nuke does get kills or does help his teammate get kills.
And I want to say he almost stops the threat in this top lane of that turret going down so quickly because Nono and Zarmony can't afford to be auto-attacking that turret when a Twisted Fate is not in that lane and is level 6.
And they're already having a hard time as it is right now. The turret's not even that low. You've seen Zoro just sustain quite well. And if they ever get him low, you can just teleport back in with some items, and then you're not going to be able to eat through them again. You've seen how long it's taken them for just to get those health pots used and the Crusade Flask used, you know, 6.5 minutes in, and they haven't been able to do that much. If he comes back with like a Giant Spell or a Chain Vest, like, you're not going to be able to push him out of lane at all.
And there is going to be putting down good damage onto Freddy. He's having to burn through that Crystalline Flask and the potions, and you've got to dodge those wild cards coming out. You can't afford to be getting hit by too many of them, as both of these mid laners are now level 6.
And in one level, when Freddy 122 gets level 7, expect him to be aggressive. Like, he should be able to take Nuke on 1v1 once that gold card is down. And I mean, he's an assassin. He has Ignite. He has the ability to take him down completely since Twisted Fate is relatively squishy. But just like we saw last game with the Nasus Virtual, hits level 6, goes straight for this dragon. But Twisted Fate is ulti, and this should be enough to stop them from going for it. Or not.
Or not, indeed. We are seeing them sticking around for this one. Twisted Fate's destiny has now gone down, and there is the smite on the dragon. And again, Soul Authority will take the gold lead here. It's only 200, but every little helps at this point.
And okay, what was amazing about that play, though, was the fact that they have a 1v2 lane in the bot lane. So if anything, Sinners Never Sleep has the ability to go for dragon very easily, but they realized that Tabs and WeWillFailure backed, and they took advantage of that. I mean, we're seeing a different against Authority right here. That was just so well executed by them. They should not have been able to get that dragon, and yet they did.
Yeah, and also the big point was that Virtual had babysat that lane so much that he'd actually got up to level 6 as well, with that ultimate to be able to you know, take down that dragon quicker. But that turret will now fall for Sinners Never Sleep. And against Authority, losing that one, and with it, the gold lead.
Oh, blue buff actually ended up going over to Nunya right there, so they missed.
Yeah.
Gave it over to Nuke. That defensive passive with the 6 damage, I guess, was enough to take it, but that's actually going to hurt Nuke quite a bit. Like, he needs that reduced cooldown on the ultimate, he needs to reduce cooldown on his abilities, not to mention just to counter push Freddy 122, who's going to be able to have his blue buff here if he gets back in time. And he can't really stop the push that Freddy 122 can now do to him.
We'll see if Virtual will be kind enough to give that blue buff over to his Diana, or whether he's going to end up taking it himself on this one. Does have Smite available, which tells me Diana is going to be coming down for that one. Nuke Duck here is, however, going up towards this top side of the map, so it looks like they're going to try and close in onto No and Zarmany.
Oh, wow. This is a 5-man gank on the top side of the map. Everyone is up there. It looks like Nuke Duck will be spotted, but that should be a free turret for them. Actually, I don't even know if it's a really free turret because, I mean, Tristan with the exposure shot, you have the ability to clear waves relatively quickly, but they can't really sit there when Zoro can engage on them really hard, not to mention Nunya has his ultimate available. So that will be another turret going over to Sinners Never Sleep, lengthening their goal lead even further.
Nicely done there from Sinners Never Sleep. Turret number 2 of this game. That's already 1,500 gold they're building up, and they are going to keep pushing here by the looks of things with 4 men.
I'm not sure they're tanking up to dive under this turret, but it's allowing Twisted Fate to push mid lane. So you have at the bottom Shleya. He's trying to get to the farm, he's trying to catch up, but you know, a 4v3 situation in the top lane might be enough for them to take the turret, at least get it relatively low. And if anything, if Freddy 122 goes towards the top lane, they're going to push the middle turret and get it.
Well, you might be right about diving under the turret, but they've got a hook as well. In fact, they got 2 hooks in there with Nautilus as well.
They're missing a Blitzcrank. They needed 3.
If a Blitzcrank was in there, it would be comedy.
Hook City.
That's for sure. It's Freddy here. Feeling a bit of pressure now. They've all disappeared from that top lane, which tells him, okay, they might be headed my way, and he would be right in that feeling. 4 men now in the middle lane. Turret's down at half HP. How do you stop this one? Well, you've got to match the numbers. It's that simple.
Oh, they should be able to take it here. They don't have great wave clear at this point. Wait, just the Diana. All you have is like that Q to really clear it out. You need Tristan, you need Lulu there, and that should be another turret. I mean, that's back-to-back-to-back turrets for them so far, and that just gives them, as you see, a 2.1 thousand gold lead, and it's going to get Caitlyn her Bloodthirster relatively soon. It should be actually done, if I'm not mistaken, when he goes back. And it's really catching against Authority off guard because they're trying to react to it, but they're behind in farm. Like, they need to catch up in farm. They need to get a couple of items built before they can really afford to go head-to-head.
Really solid job so far by Sinners Never Sleep. All 3 outer turrets now down, and they've even got a good few wards on this top side of the map. I expect that Thresh, Failer will start to put some down on this bottom side of the map as well and really start that stranglehold on against Authority. We
saw this happen yesterday where, you know, the tier 1 turrets were taken and there was no play made, like, right after. They were just wandering around. I cannot remember the team off the top of my head because it's been such a long weekend, but we saw that happen, and the team, if you do that, you need to have some sort of plan next. Last time it was Baron being taken at 15 minutes. They don't really have a composition to do that at this point. But they need to have some sort of game plan, or they're just going to let the enemy team farm up. Like, against Authority, he's going to be able to have an opportunity here just to catch up and get strong. Where, you know, once he's at level 18 point, he's going to have a farther range than Tabs, and he's just going to do so much damage.
There's No getting his farm on. Still tiny bit behind. That will change here, though, with this wave. And we can see that he is going to be going for that Blade of the Ruin King as his first item.
Yeah, it works really well. I actually want to know what he's leveling up. I'm assuming it's Q if he's going to go for that. I'm just to have some crazy attack speed early on, which, you know, he's really going to need. If Zoro can ground slam him, though, it's going to shut him down pretty well. Then again, I mean, you have 3 very high damage champions on against Authority, so if you shut 1 down, you still have 2 more to pick up the slack.
Yeah, we'll see how that one all works out. Slayer is also ahead on farming when you compare that over to the Malphite. But the fact is that that gold lead is getting bigger, Jason. It's 2,500 gold right now.
Against Authority, I mean, you have to remember, they took the first dragon, so that's what's keeping them in the game at this point in terms of just the gold difference. And if they can't defend or take this next one, they'll be up at about a minute, and they'll fall pretty far behind, and they'll actually fall like far enough behind that Sinners Never Sleep will have a lot of completed items over their none. And we did actually just notice there that No is not leveling up his attack speed, the Q, he's actually leveling up his explosive shot.
Going in for that one, we can see that some reactionary wards put down nearby against Authority. They realize that the vision is certainly going to be ramped up by Sinners Never Sleep with those outer turrets down, and they're trying to combat that with a good few wards of their own. But that dragon is coming up in less than half a minute's time. Freddy, his position is compromised there, stood on top of a ward, so vision was down. They put one right on top of a pink ward. In fact, was it? No, it wasn't a pink ward that they put down. I thought they'd put a pink on pink, which would have been very dangerous anyway, not really knowing what was in there. But that will be, you know, dragon held still for Sinners Never Sleep, and against Authority, as you said, I don't think they can afford to lose this one.
I mean, it's been 13 minutes so far, and there's been more towers taken than kills. We haven't had that first blood happen just yet. Against Authority, this could be a really hit or miss point. If they can win this fight here and take Dragon, they will get a huge lead. But if they lose this fight, they will fall far behind. Their assassins won't be able to get the damage they need, the tankiness they need to survive the backline dive here, and we might see a fight break out for this.
Yeah, don't forget that
Teleport
Malphite is
in.
running teleport. We are going to see Malphite joining in the party here. Where is he going to go? He's onto the top side, actually. And Sinners never sleep.
They can push middle.
Yeah, they're actually spotted out by a ward here, but as you said, they've got minions already pushing up the middle against Authority. Need to react to this one, otherwise they're going to end up losing an near turret. Freddy is actually coming in from the backside. They're going to engage the fight. The box goes down from We Will Failure, and there's a lot of damage. The knockup going straight through as Virtual goes down. First blood for Caitlyn. Got a feeling it's not going to be the last one of this fight as Twisted Fate will pop Destiny. Where's he going to come in? Right next to Slayer. Stun card, wild cards, double kill, and that is 3 kills to nothing coming out for Sinners Never Sleep. They're going to take this turret, and they're probably going to go for Dragon as well.
Yes, they can. I mean, we just talked about if Against Authority loses this fight, they're going to fall really far behind. But you saw Virtual in that fight. He did not have control of his champion for more than half a second for the entirety of his life right there. You saw so many knockups, so many hooks, so many... Oh, yeah, there's 2 hooks actually hit him right there. And that is a strength. I mean, that's 0-0 on his Malphite. He set up the entire fight, and that's why we keep saying you can't let him have it, or he's just going to punish you over and over again. And now against Authority, they're going to be on the back foot here. They're going to be down about 5,000 gold at this point.
Yeah, that puts them all, you know, it's just that boom.
Is that Sona getting squished?
Just an instant kind of change in the goal, and it was all about positioning again. We've seen this one happen time and time again, where teams are dancing off by Baron, and one team, you know, gets up the inside almost of the other one, and then says, well, you know what, you can go for Dragon if you want. We're going to push your middle lane. You've got to react to that one. Against Authority went for the fight, but we saw, you know, Absolute Zero. That's not the right one.
You're still stuck on Nunu.
Still stuck on Nunu for some reason. I don't know why it is. Maybe it's because I'm in love with the Yeti or something. But Unstoppable Force coming in there. Then you see the depth charge coming out of Nautilus, which actually in an area like that where they just fought works so good because it knocks up everyone on its way to its target as well.
And you made a good point, is that Against Authority was the one that engaged the fight. They're the one that made it happen. Like, they were going to lose their turret no matter what. Yeah. Actually, no, not no matter what. Like, if they won the fight, obviously they could have stopped it, but they were in a really bad position. Like, you nailed it on the head, is that they were in such a tight and closed area that the Malphite ultimate was impossible to miss unless your mouse, like, bugged and you went the opposite direction. And then the Nuss ultimate to follow up, like, Against Authority just didn't have the ability to attack. They were just controlled for the entire of the fight. And not to mention, you know, the Lulu ultimate on a Virtual didn't do anything. Like, it kept him alive for maybe half a second longer. That's just how much damage that Sinners Never Sleep has. And after that fight, their damage just got amplified even more. As you see the Lich Bane down, you see the Nisi Large Rod, you have the Bloodthirster done, you have the Last Whisper coming in for Caitlyn, you have the Sunfire Cape and a Giant's Belt for Zoro. So he's just going to be this tanky front line that you just can't deal with. Like, Nono won't be able to deal with him until another 15 minutes in.
Well, we'll see what Sinners Never Sleep actually do with this lead, because we've seen other teams have leads like this before, and we've seen that they've not been able to capitalize on them. First thing that springs to mind straight away for me is not really enough wards inside of that Against Authority jungle to really start that stranglehold that you will see teams, you know, the top 4 LCS teams, let's say, really putting down and being a very important part of the plan when they get to this stage of the game.
I mean, it looks like they have some sort of a plan in terms of just split pushing over and over. Zoro's teleport will be up soon. They're going to gank Nono here, but wow, what a flash out of him to dodge that ultimate. That was perfectly well played. They made Malphite ulti, they made Twisted Fate ulti, and he escaped with just a flash. That was so done. But are they going to be able to hold this turret, though?
Well, that's the real question. We've got Nasus up here to try and stop that, but honestly, Nasus against this team is not going to do a whole lot of good in terms of defense. The minions do finally start to come in, and Sinners Never Sleep feel that they're going to be pushed back, and they do decide to retreat.
Oh, Taz has to be careful on the bottom lane. If Freddy wants to land this Crescent Strike, Tab should be able to be killed here, as Freddy 1-2 does have Ignite, does have Flash up, and that would be honestly a big pickup for them because they need an Assassin to get fed. They have no kills. They need one of them to really excel, and he's behind in CS in terms of his counter opponent in the mid lane. You know, Schley does have an advantage over Zoro, but he doesn't have the assist. Like, he's still losing in gold.
I just saw there one wild card, the damage that it puts down onto Nono as actually he's going to go in there. Oh, that's anti-active in there from the Blade of the Ruin King, and Nuke Duck is in all kinds of trouble. He will fall, and that was well coordinated. Good play out of Against Authority.
Yeah, very well. The problem is their top turret is being pushed. They can't really push down mid lane right now because the split pushing power, well, I say split pushing power, but Twisted Fate was the one that was in mid lane. You see Caitlyn and Malphite off by themselves, but they have to deal with them somehow. because, you know, Tabs is just getting fed right now. He's 175 CS. He's level 11 right now compared, well, no, he's level 11 at this point still, but he's like getting the solo experience. He's getting this turret very low, and Malphite's doing the same. Like, you can't even kill 0-0 at this point.
Oh, Schleyer comes in there. Decides he doesn't want to stay and fight that Caitlyn. Instead, happy to push Tabs away and stop that onslaught in the bottom lane. It's a 30 CS difference. As you see a BF sword being picked up here by Nona. I'm guessing that Tabs has actually got a decent amount of cash here as he does start to go back. Yep, 1,200 gold he's sitting on, and he spends 1,000 of that gold on his way back, plus the elixir coming in. So he's got Bloodthirst, the Last Whisper. Compare that over to the Blade of the Ruin King and the BF sword for Nona.
And seeing a red pot picked up this early on kind of shows that Sinister Sleep maybe wants to go for a fight very soon. He's got, I mean, obviously wants the extra damage, but he needs to survive against the double assassins, and that red pot's giving that little bit of extra health and maybe a little bit of extra life steal because of the attack damage onto the Bloodthirster that he's going to need to survive.
That's Freddy and 0-0 meeting up inside of the Tribush, and I think both of them are like, no, we probably can't kill each other at this stage. We'll just end up wasting a lot of abilities. And then one person will probably end up having to flash away in the end and burn that as well. So they both decide, no, let's not do that one. Let's not fight. And we move into a slower part of the game. Almost at the 20-minute mark here. Gold difference is approaching 7,000 gold. That's quite a chunk of gold, to be honest with you. If you look at the distribution there, 2,000 in the middle lane, 1,200 between the AD carries, 1,000 in the top lane as well.
And one thing that's really unfortunate for Schleyer from Against Authority is that he went for his Mana Immune before anything else. Like, that just shows you, so he knows they're behind. He needs just the damage now. He can't afford to wait for that Bloodthirster. He can't afford to wait for the Brutalizer. He just needs some sort of item. And if he was able to get his Bloodthirster and, well, maybe his Brutalizer or even just the Bloodthirster alone, like, he would have so much more poke damage that he could actually create opportunity for them to fight. Like, he could get Sinister Sleep low enough that they can go in.
So pink ward's down here on Dragon. We've got 13 seconds to go until that one spawns in. Against All Authority, they're not too far away, but honestly, I don't think they're really in a position to react, certainly to the Dragon itself. Maybe they'll try and do some other objective while that Dragon is in fact going to be going on, and it seems that Diana and Kha'Zix's combo will be going to push the top lane out, but Malphite will be waiting. Sinners never sleep, do pick up the Dragon, and there we've just seen Twisted Fate kind of ultimate up towards this blue buff and then joining the top as well.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure Against Authority cannot really kill 0-0 either, with just the items he has. He's going to have his randoms done very soon. Twisted Fate's still coming in, but so just going to clear this out. And they gave up a Dragon, or Against Authority gave up the Dragon, but they didn't get anything off of it at all. I mean, they got a little bit of farm, but that's obviously not worth it.
Yeah, that's not the trade that they wanted. There's no doubt about that one. Again, this bottom lane gets pushed up on towards the turret, and all clamoring basically for that CS at this point. As Nuke still doing the blue buff. I'm guessing he backed away from that somewhat to go to that top lane just to give it protection, and then had to come back down. Obviously, he had that Lich Bane and the needlessly large rod earlier. I'm guessing that he's actually got a load of gold now after what they've just picked up to go back and spend. But blue buff's on. He's got 1,300 gold to spend. He wants to make it more before he goes.
I think he's going to be going for that Zonias as that next item. I mean, against a double assassin, if him and Caitlyn can't be killed because of Zonias, because of GA, which you see Taz going for next, then that goes the whole composition that Against Authority has. Like, are you not going to burst down Malphite? You're not going to burst down Nautilus, and that just completely screws him over for the fight.
So, what are Against Authority planning here? They're the ones that are now having to come back in this game. But, well, I mean, what's the plan for it? It's a hard one because Sinners Never Sleep are the team that can fight right now, and that they've already proven they have such amazing fighting capabilities.
Well, you saw Ultimate yesterday. Like, they were down over 10,000 gold, and we were just wondering, like, how are they ever possibly going to get back into this game? And it was because, you know, Giants threw it in terms of they didn't push the advantage, they didn't close out the game, and, you know, Sinners Never Sleep, they're up 1-0 in the series, so they have the opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive, be a little bit more ballsy, but they're not pushing their advantage right now. Yeah, they're taking Dragons, but they're not trying to push down any turrets, and now you're seeing Against Authority be the aggressors here.
Yeah, they're going to go in towards this middle turret. Freddy actually going to come in here. Is he going to get anything from it? Kha'Zix jumps in, the box goes down. Stun onto Freddy. Wildcard's not perfect, but Nautilus comes in around the side. We've got one kill. It's Tabs that took down Kha'Zix, but No is jumping around, trying to get those kills, and they're going to flash over onto him again. There's the stun. Double kill for Tabs. That was so well played. And now Virtual is the one that is going to be running away on that top side with Zoro coming around the side. He does have unstoppable force, and he is going to go in towards Virtual. He's hooked, he's stunned, and he's dead.
That fight was like teetering on a knife's edge. If Schleya, I think he actually missed his Void Spikes there, if I'm not mistaken. If he maybe have hit it onto Tabs, they actually could have killed him. He could have got resets in, and they could have turned that fight around. And No, I mean, just trying to make a big play right there. You saw him flash over that wall, trying to get that kill and get that jump yet again, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him. And that's the downside to being behind, you know, in the game and then losing a fight. You're just going to fall either further behind. You're going to lose Baron, and that's a 5-man Baron. Sinners Never Sleep. They probably have a lot of gold to spend, and they're going to be like rushing down either lane they want, whichever one they choose.
Well, first of all, it's all about going home and buying up this spike that's going to come in. Going to be dangerous for against Authority if it wasn't already. 10,000 gold lead in there, a Guardian Angel for Caitlyn, and that just totally swings things even more when it comes to team fights.
Yeah, Tabs, I mean, he cannot be burst down at all by the composition that Against Authority has at this point, and at this point in time. But that means Nuke Duck is going to be the focus. He didn't even go for a Zonies. He actually went for Rabadon's Death Cap. Looks like he's going to DFG as his next item. I mean, he has a lot of damage, but he's also very squishy. If he gets caught out, like, that could be the loss of the fight for him.
Oracle on We Will Failure, of course. And they are going to be pushing all of these lanes out as far as they can before they pick a final target here. Tab's going to have the red buff for himself as well. Make short work of that one. He is ahead in the CS, but it's those kills that are making a massive difference. Plus, of course, the global objectives as well. 3-0-2 right now. Nono's items not really changed since the last time we talked about, and that just shows you how slowly Against Authority are bringing this gold in.
And, I mean, yeah, it's a 10,000 gold there right now for Sinners Never Sleep, and you know, if they can get farm on a Nona, you made a good point when we were looking at the same spot earlier that everyone was clawing for some CS, but you need to get the CS in the right spots. You need to make sure Nona gets it, you need to make sure Schleya and Freddy122 gets it, but then also on the same side of that coin, you know, if you do that, then your tanks won't be tanky, and you can't survive the damage in the fight. So it's a really hard trade-off that Against Authority has to kind of make.
Well, as I was talking about those wards that need to be put down by Sinners Never Sleep earlier on, the top side of the jungle is now peppered in them. They have complete vision should Against Authority start to step out of that base, and they are trying to push in towards that inhibitor turret now.
Of course, the split push power of a Twisted Fate, like this is why he's been banned out so often. He can just sit there with a Lich Bane, with the Death Cap, take turrets down extremely quickly, and then you have Sinners Never Sleep with Zoro. You have that Malphite, so if they ever go for an engage, you're gonna buy enough time for Nuke Duck to get there to really help out.
Yeah. He's just waiting in the wings, and you know that we've seen 2 or 3 great Malphite performances out of him already. And right now he's sat 1-0-4, was actually behind in CS the entire time, but you know, that didn't really matter to them because he was coming up with the goods when it came to that team fight in time.
And it goes back to that whole trade-off of if the assassin is only like 10-20 CS ahead of you, you're still winning that in the end because you're going to be able to build the tank items a lot easier than the assassin will be able to get the damage. And that's some poke they have. I mean, you have a blue buff onto Nuke Duck. He's able to spam those wild cards, and that turret is just getting shredded down. They're actually engaged on Freddy.
Yeah, Freddy in all kinds of trouble. Unstoppable force is still up. Where's it going to go here from Zoro? They pick up kill number 1. Virtual going to get chomped down, and the unstoppable force gets 3 of them. 2 killed by the wild cards. Double kill for Twisted Fate. And this is Sinners Never Sleep taking down the inhibitor. They're surely going to finish off the game here. This is going to be game point. This is LCS summer split point for Sinners Never Sleep now. Those Nexus turrets going to fall. The Nexus itself will go down, and they are in cruise control at this point. There are 3 games remaining. They can't be too confident. We've seen it slip away from teams before yesterday, albeit with Giants when an alternate came back from that 2-0. But now it's on Against Authority to do exactly that here, and you can see the frustration. Schleya just not looking, you know, in the zone at this point, but Sinners Never Sleep, you have to give it to them. They've had a game plan, they've stuck to it. They've done amazingly well.
Just keep in mind, though, after the first game, when it looked just completely horrible for them, they were able to at least do a little bit better in this game, and maybe the third, they'll be able to take it back. Maybe they'll be able to pull an alternate and win 3 straight.
So we're going to be getting into Game 3 in a little while. But of course, first of all, we've got Demon and Quickshot to break down all the action.
Yes, thank you very much, Joe. And wow, 2-0 is all on. We had this situation yesterday. Giants, though, were the ones that were taking the lead, the LCS team, but they fell to alternate 3-2. It's possible to come back from this one. Alternate did it. Against All Authorities have to see that, and they have to try and take something from it, because they are looking down and out right now.
So this game started a whole lot better for Against All Authority. They didn't lose individually straight up in the 1v1s. They had a little bit of a tougher time, specifically the Twisted Fate versus Diana in the mid lane. Before level 6, NukeDuck was winning that engagement, and yes, he's got the range, but it is a matchup that I think if Freddy had played more aggressively, maybe been a little bit more confident in the lane, he could have turned his in his favor. They did pick up a very early dragon. As soon as Virtual was level 6 with Nasus, they went for dragon, they picked it up very sneakily, but it sort of fell to pieces because they lost 3 quick towers in the next 5 or so minutes.
Yeah, it kind of just snowballed out of control again. But it takes us actually to the replay that we have for you. And it was all about that fight in the middle. They were kind of just posturing around the dragon. And Sinners Never Sleep just took full advantage, which we've seen so many teams doing, and just pushed straight in there.
Yeah, and one of the things about this particular engagement as well is that Against All Authority decided to pick this fight in a very, very small choke point, and you'll see how it does not pay out for them. So let's jump into the replay. It is very early on in the matchup. It is at about 14 minutes, and I've paused before just so you can see how the tone has been set. Against All Authority had been fighting Dragon, and they were moving up towards their middle lane over on the right-hand side of your screen, with, of course, Sinners Never Sleep over on the left. And this is now when you can feel the pressure. After that very, very first loss, Against All Authority pretty much say, look, we have to go in, we have to make this work. And look at how much time Virtual spends in the air. He may as well be given wings because he's flying for the entirety of this. Great box from We Will Fail zones everybody out. And this is now where all of the crowd control just gets changed one after the other. There is one thing that I would like to point out right here at this exact moment. Nono has Buster Shot available, and he doesn't use it. He has his ultimate available that he could shoot, say, We Will Failure, to knock back Nunia, Nukebuck, and Tabs, get them out of there, focus Zora Zero, and then carry on. But unfortunately, they don't decide to do it. Sinners Never Sleep, they just had better focusing, they picked the targets, and this was just a full retreat call. Against All Authority saying, there's nothing we can do here, get me out of here, let's run away. And they end up losing 3-0 and a double kill for NukeDuck. It was just a questionable team fight in a narrow choke point against a Malphite, against a Nautilus that was always going to knock up a bajillion people with their ultimates.
And you were never going to get out because, like you say, We Will Fail was there with the box, just boom. Yep. If you come this way, you're going to be slowed, you're going to be crowd controlled.
Yeah, and with that particular fight, like as I was watching it, I was keeping a close eye on that Buster Shot because, of course, the target that you shoot gets pushed backwards.
It blows them all backwards.
And that was the key.
Yeah.
So that's the moment of doubt that I think was in Nono's mind. Well, if I shoot one, they all go away, therefore I can't shoot any of them, and this is going to be a lost fight anyway. And it's like, but if I don't shoot somebody, we're going to lose. So it was like a bad situation where the ultimate, it really needed to be timed at the exact point and hit the right target.
He didn't even use them at the end. He was like, he could have used it just before he jumped away. It's like,
correct,
save everybody else, knock them back, now jump out, and everybody could have got out.
He had the mana, he had the cooldown, and I'm not 100% sure on the decision making. But then after that very, very heavy loss, and just how emotional and how how passionate Nono is, if that's getting the better of him in this matchup, that may be where the questionable decisions come from. The rest of the game was just a matter of Against All Authority. They tried to make plays happen. They did pick up a good kill, but to be very honest, Sinners Never Sleep, they were just in control of it.
And I want to talk about picks and bans, because straight away at the start, I wrote the bans down, and I was like, they've just given them Twisted Fate, Caitlyn, Malphite. They've got their team again.
Yeah,
Sinners
exactly.
So, and they got Thresh as well.
So this is something that I was thinking about a lot of during this particular matchup, is the comfort picks, is the fact that we've seen Tabs playing Caitlyn, I think, the entirety of the Summer Promotion Tournament. It's the only AD carry that he's been playing. We've seen NukeDuck, he's played a couple of different champions, and he's showing diversity in that mid lane role, which is great to see.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult to ban...
Zari was scary.
Yes, it's going to be difficult to ban him out, which, plays well into Sinners Never Sleep's hands. But the question is, how does Zora Zero do when he's not on Malphite? We've seen him playing other champions, but his Malphite is just on another level. And they're banning out Ari, Zed, and Kassadin. So maybe swapping out the Kassadin for a Malphite might be better, in that regard. In terms of a Kassadin, it's slightly easier to shut a Kassadin down if you focus him. If you put your duo lane in the mid lane, which is what I think AAA should have done in the first game and didn't. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and it's difficult to say, what do they do? Because we haven't seen SNS all that much.
We haven't seen a great deal of them, and we had, of course, you guys at home would have seen them in the amateur series and all the tournaments that they have played in, but they are still a fairly new team. They've not been around too long, but they seem to be performing very, very well. They're just one game away now from reaching into the LCS. Could they take the series 3-0? They're going to be coming up after the break against all authorities. Everybody does it, and I always say authorities as well. It's one of those things
we
I
just
always
committed to it now. We just committed. It's against all authority. And yeah, plural. There's more than one of them, so they can be against all authorities.
So don't go in there, guys. We're going to be back after this break. It will be Game 3 getting underway.